Mr. Fong, Dr. Sullivan, Dr. Plum, members of our Law School Board of Governors, faculty, administrative leaders and staff of the School of Law, graduates of the class of 2017, and honored guests, welcome to you all. Today is a day to celebrate. We honor and congratulate our graduates. This should also be a day of prayerful gratitude. Thanks to God for the gifts of your many talents, for all that you have achieved and received during your time at St. Thomas, gratitude for the lifelong friendships you've formed here, gratitude for our law school community, the mission that serves as our foundation, for the opportunity to integrate your deepest commitments and core values into your professional lives. And most important, gratitude for your family and friends who have supported you. You are the class of 2017. You chose St. Thomas, a law school dedicated to integrating the faith with reason in the education of the whole person, as the first stage of what will be a career-long journey of professional formation. Over 3 years, our school has undoubtedly shaped you, but you have also shaped our school. You've come from all over the country and all over the world to contribute to a distinctive law school community that educates students to be morally responsible leaders who think critically, act wisely, and work skillfully to advance the common good. You've shown intelligence and spunk inside our classrooms. You've been challenged by all of our professors, inspired by many, and terrified by a few. You've advocated for the immigrant, for the elderly, for the poor. You represented a death row inmate in his appeal before the Ninth Circuit Court of Appeals. You've worked for the reform of the federal clemency system. You've won a Fulbright to study international migration at a top university in the Netherlands after graduation. You have filed briefs with state Supreme Courts in support of pro-life legislation. You've brought attention to the glaring racial disparities that pervade our criminal justice system. You spent time at the United Nations working on behalf of the Catholic Church to promote human rights. You've been busy in non-academic pursuits too. You were not content to spend all of your time in a library group study room, and many of you have seen more of the Twin Cities in 3 years, and in the case of our LLM students, 1 year, than many local residents have in a lifetime. You've made clear that prom is not just for high schoolers, that law schools actually have hockey teams, dominated once again by St. Thomas, and that to get a law professor in a frigid dunk tank on an early spring day, all you have to do is ask. You've shown such a commitment to your classmates that some of you have even decided to marry each other. To be clear, we do not require that of all of our alumni, but we certainly don't discourage it. We are grateful for the many ways in which you've helped build this law school, shaped the nature of our community, advanced our mission, and shown a degree of, how shall I put it, personality that has been welcome and energizing. As your dean and on behalf of the faculty, staff, trustees, and Board of Governors, I extend our thanks and gratitude. Before we proceed further, I'd like to introduce our platform party to you. From your right to your left, we first have Dr. Julie Sullivan, president of our university. Dr. Sullivan will be conferring our degrees today. Next to Dr. Sullivan is Ivan Fong, senior vice president and general counsel of 3M. Mr. Fong is our keynote speaker. Next is Maria Pittner, a member of the class of 2017 and our student speaker this afternoon. Next to Marie Pittner is Dr. Richard Plum, executive vice president and provost of the university. And next are Brian Short and Brian Wenger, representing the School of Law's Board of Governors. Please join me in welcoming this distinguished group to our graduation ceremony. I now invite a member of our faculty, Father Dan Griffith, to deliver the invocation.
Good and gracious God, we bless and praise your holy name. For you, O Lord, are the source of all that is good. Out of nothing you fashioned the beauty of creation and ordered it according to your divine wisdom. We stand before you today with hearts full of gratitude for your generous bounty, for your providential care, and for the lives and gifts of our law graduates. Today, in a special way, we thank you for the gifts of wisdom and truth, and for the gift of law. In a world that struggles with uncertainty and discord, help us use the gift of law in service to the good of humanity and to genuine and lasting peace. Bless these law graduates today and throughout their lives as they seek to serve you and their neighbor. Help them to be good stewards of the law so that they may generously serve those around them, especially your beloved poor and the marginalized. Send your guiding spirit upon them, the spirit of wisdom and truth that comes from you. Help them live virtuous and authentic lives that give glory to you, O God. Cultivate their hearts so that they may be humble and merciful, and cultivate their minds so they may discern your wisdom and act with prudence. May these law graduates bear much fruit through their work in this noble profession, and may they help direct the law to the goals of justice and the common good. We make this humble prayer to you, our just and merciful God. Amen.
Thank you, Father Griffith. Before we proceed to our next speaker, let me call your attention to our commencement program. Each of you should be able to find your favorite member of the class of 2017 listed in the program with their prior undergraduate and graduate degrees. This long list of names might seem just that, a long list of names, but we know better. Each name you see is the center of someone's world. And speaking on behalf of our faculty and staff, we try to remember that every day we get to spend with them. Each one of these graduates has contributed in unique ways to our law school community and richly deserves our congratulations. But let me take a brief moment to call your attention to several students who deserve special recognition. In your program, we first list and recognize those students who are likely to achieve high academic honors, the just reward for 3 years of truly exceptional academic performance and achievement. If you then turn to the next page, we list the students who have logged at least 100 hours of service to our community and several who dedicated literally hundreds of hours to public service. As you may know, our School of Law is distinctive in requiring its students to dedicate a certain number of hours, at least 50, to community service. The graduates who have performed more than 100 hours of service have gone above and beyond our law school vision that we are all asked by God to serve others, particularly those who are most in need of our care. We then list the graduates who have volunteered more than 50 law-related service hours under the auspices of the Minnesota Justice Foundation. Together, the class of 2017 has performed more than 11,000 hours of community service during their time at law school. Congratulations, and on behalf of the many people you have served, we extend our sincere thanks. Finally, we highlight those students whose contributions to our distinctive mission have been so excellent that we presented them over the past 3 years with our mission awards. These students have embodied our mission of integrating faith and reason in the search for truth through a focus on morality and social justice. Please join me in congratulating these students in particular for their academic achievement, their leadership, and service. I would next like to take a moment to thank the class of 2017 for one more important contribution. Like previous classes, this class has presented the School of Law with a class gift. Much too heavy to actually carry up to the platform at this point, but 90% of the class have contributed to the gift. And the gift this year is a beautiful stone that will be inscribed with a quote from the namesake of our university, Thomas Aquinas, and placed next to the flagpole near the front entrance of the law school. I would especially like to thank the 3Ls who have led the successful fundraising for the class of 2017 gift. Megan Mejia and Carrie Theisey. Thank you for your excellent and diligent work, and thank you, class of 2017. I am now pleased to introduce Maria Pittner. The members of the class of 2017 selected Maria to address our graduation ceremony on their behalf, and an inspired choice you have made. During her time at the law school, Maria has been active in student government as a leader for our Minnesota Justice Foundation chapter and has served on the school's Board of Advocates. She also spent 3 semesters working in our interprofessional center through our Elder Law and Community Justice Project clinics. So a word to Maria's family, particularly her parents, John and Irene. She has shown excellent leadership at our school, has formed strong friendship, and has worked hard. Not only is she going to make the world a better place, she has already made the world a better place. Let me make a broader point. The reason I spent a minute telling you about Maria is to underscore the fact that every single one of our graduates has a story to tell, a story of hard work, of achievement mixed with frustration, and of a vocation that calls them to use their gifts to advance the common good. We don't have time for each one of these amazing graduates to share their stories, so they've selected Maria to speak for them all. So now, class of 2017, please give a rousing welcome to your choice to speak on your behalf, Maria Pittner.
Thank you, Dean Fisher. Class of 2017, family, friends, less accomplished siblings, and anyone who has perhaps wandered in here by mistake. I think you're locked in now for the next hour and a half. An inspirational person to me, former North Dakota Supreme Court Justice Vernon Peterson, liked to say, "The problem with lawyer jokes is lawyers don't think they're funny, and people don't think they're jokes." But don't worry, I'm not here today to just tell you a bunch of jokes. As Dean Fisher mentioned earlier, every member of the class of 2017 has a worthwhile story to share. I'm honored today to speak on behalf of our class, to tell our story, and I can do that best by sharing with you mine. In my opinion, St. Thomas taught us that gratitude, kindness, and authenticity will be 3 essential elements to our success. In law school, we are always taught to start with our strongest point in legal argument, so I think it's fitting that I start by expressing our gratitude. To our friends and family, whether by blood or by choice, you are and always will be our greatest teachers. You taught us about life, love, respect, integrity, and specifically in my case, growing up in a family of 10 kids, 6 of whom are boys, I was constantly reminded that snitches get stitches, and if you tell mom where I'm really going, you will regret it later. I can't speak for all my classmates. For me, law school was actually a lot like my home life growing up. There was usually free food left out, and despite knowing how long it had been there, I ate it. There were almost always people fighting or having heated arguments, and my parents, like Professor Bowser, did little to address the issue. Instead, they just watched for enjoyment. Although, upon further reflection, I came to understand it was their care and concern and their desire for us to hone our skills in debate and diplomacy that was the real reason behind their approach. If you knew my mom, you would know that she is what someone call a bargain hunter. And I mentioned before, I'm one of 10 kids, and so my mom and dad stopped at 10 kids when they realized it really wasn't cheaper by the dozen. We acknowledge our parents and Professor Bowser Day by honoring him as our Professor of the Year. At home and in law school, there was always a lot going on. Too many things to juggle at times, but most importantly, I felt cared for and supported. This was certainly a result of our extraordinary law school faculty. They are an outstanding group of scholars and educators. They challenged us to think critically, to imagine a more perfect system of justice, and then to advocate for that system. We shared meals in their homes, spent time having drinks or lunch with them as they came to know who we were as individuals and became personally invested in our lives. I'm sure some of you remember them even praying for us. Professor Organ liked to send out emails prior to midterms and final exams where he'd tell us that we would be in his prayers. And that just caused me to think, Professor Organ, if you don't make your exam so hard, we won't need your prayers. The St. Thomas staff is also exceptional. Every member of the community tried to make our last 3 years the best they could be, despite the long hours we spent studying in the library, taking exams, some of which were 4 hours long, and sometimes even the constant struggle to do the smallest of tasks, like shower or brush our teeth. And I'm hoping I wasn't the only one. Many of you are just outstanding, the fact that you were able to get engaged, get married, welcome new pets, some even parenting kids during our time in law school. I'm just in awe. All right, the second element, it's simple. Whatever you do, be kind. We will encounter clients going through some of the most difficult struggles in their lives. No matter what side of the aisle we're on or the table we're sitting at, it is critical that we show others compassion. Mother Teresa tells us we can do small things with great love, and we know love makes all the difference. The final element, and what I really want to talk to you about today, is authenticity. When I was thinking of ways to describe how to be authentic, I'm going to be honest, it was kind of like our 1L year. It was a little bit of a struggle. But then I thought of an illustration. We're all familiar with the St. Thomas mission, and Dean Vischer mentioned it earlier today, so I won't repeat it for you. And to be honest, if you're like me, you probably didn't remember what it was verbatim, and I wrote it down on a note card that I pulled from right outside the CPT office, just in case I needed it. But that doesn't matter, the fact that we can't remember what the words say. The mission embodies authenticity, not because it's catchy or because it's memorable, but because you don't need to know what the exact words on the wall are. We could feel the mission at St. Thomas, from our classroom discussions to the clinics and classes that were offered. It created a community that we will always be a part of. The mission specifically talks about a search for truth. And part of that search was the search inside ourselves. We know that if we find work that is interesting, engaging, personally meaningful, and provides a needed help to others, that will lead for the greatest opportunity for fulfillment in the practice of law. It won't be easy. I'm gonna be honest, guys, sometimes it's probably gonna be really hard. But don't worry too much about failing. Take risks and learn from them. In fact, fail gloriously. Probably not what the law school wants me to say as we start our study preparation for the bar. But what I mean is we should learn from the mistakes that we make and the mistakes we see others making around us. For instance, like when Megan Mahia learned to use the control settings on SurveyMonkey so that Frank Langen couldn't hijack the survey, allowing all of his non-law school friends to vote to have our annual dance changed from Law Prom to Frank Langen Presents Law Prom. Or a mistake made by a few too many of our professors. Her name is not Shalini or Shalini, it's Shalini. It rhymes with colony. Our law school days are behind us now. Class of 2017, never again will we have to sit in Professor Reed's contracts class and watch his confusing, albeit highly entertaining, PowerPoint slides, to be told to think of the meeting of the minds as the Vulcan mind meld from Star Trek. It really wasn't that helpful. We will never again be harassed by Judy Rush to log our mentor hours. And we will not be taking any more Foundations of Justice-like courses. Although I hope the one thing that we can take away from all of those things is that kindness takes many different forms. In all of the very interesting illustrations concocted by Professor Reed and the numerous emails that Judy sent us, and yes, even the discussion prompts and the Foundations of Justice, were their own displays of love and dedication. Dedication to us, to our futures, and the mission of our law school. All right, guys, take a look around. We are wearing some pretty cool hats and some pretty fancy robes today. Now, ordinarily, wearing a robe at 1:15 in the afternoon on a Saturday would mean you've given up on your day. But not us, and not today. Today, we're here to celebrate our accomplishments, our personal achievement, and our hard work. But in all of that, let's not forget that we are greatly privileged people. We are privileged in education, intellect, opportunity, and so much more. The cost of that privilege is duty. It is my belief that God expects, as we all shape our careers, we bear in mind and serve the needs of those upon whom fortune has not smiled as brightly. As we leave our St. Thomas family today and we venture out on our own distinct and unique paths, I want us all to strive to develop and to work towards our own personal missions. Seek authenticity. I can't tell you how to be authentic or what being authentic means for you, because being authentic is knowing your story, knowing your true self, and then making a conscious effort to align our values and aspirations with our words and our actions. I urge each of us to understand who we are, what brings our lives joy, what gives our lives meaning, and then strive tirelessly in pursuit of it. Because if we can live authentic lives, where we utilize our God-given talents and abilities, we won't feel the need to weigh our success against others, which will make it easier for us to put away our pride. St. Thomas didn't just teach us the law. It taught us that the strength of our character, being the person we are authentically called to be, is far more important than any of the accomplishments or awards we will receive in our lifetime. So I have to briefly mention and recognize some of the people that taught me some of those first lessons. Mom and Dad, even though at times you call me every one of my sister's names before you get it right, I can undoubtedly say that it has been the greatest privilege to be called your daughter. You have surrounded me with love, instilled values of hard work and humility, and made countless sacrifices for me and our entire family. Class of 2017, you are an amazing group of inspiring people. I expect us to stay connected because in a few short months, when we all pass the bar in July, we will celebrate again, and it will most likely be down the street at the Bulldog. Now, I did tell you that the 3 essential elements of our success are going to be gratitude, kindness, and authenticity. So it wouldn't be very authentic of me if I didn't leave you with a joke. So here's one for you all to use in the future. A minister and an attorney arrive at the pearly gates. St. Peter comes out to greet them and to hand them their room assignments. Pastor, here are the keys to one of our nicest efficiency units. And you, Ms. Attorney, here are the keys to our finest penthouse suite. What the heck? Wait a minute, this is unfair, said the pastor. Listen, said St. Peter. Pastors are a dime a dozen up here. This is the first attorney we've seen in a while. Best of luck, class of 2017. I'm really excited to see where we take ourselves.
Thank you, Maria. It's now my great honor to introduce our keynote speaker, Ivan Fong. Since 2012, Ivan has been Senior Vice President for Legal Affairs and General Counsel for 3M. Before he joined 3M, Ivan served as General Counsel of the U.S. Department of Homeland Security, leading a team of more than 1,800 lawyers. He had previously been with Cardinal Health in Ohio, General Electric in Connecticut, and Covington and Burling in Washington, D.C. He began his legal career as a law clerk to Judge Abner Mikva of the U.S. Court of Appeals for the D.C. Circuit and Justice Sandra Day O'Connor of the U.S. Supreme Court. Ivan has been named one of America's 50 outstanding general counsel and one of the 20 most influential general counsel by the National Law Journal. He has received the Trailblazer Award from the National Asian Pacific American Bar Association, the Justice in Action Award from the Asian American Legal Defense and Education Fund, and the Spirit of Excellence Award from the American Bar Association. Under Ivan's leadership, 3M's law department was also recognized by Corporate Counsel as one of the best legal departments of the year and won the Private Practice Award from the Minnesota Justice Foundation for its pro bono program. He is committed to the communities around him just as much as he is to his work, serving on the boards of Equal Justice Works and Minnesota Public Radio. He is also a member of the Council of the American Law Institute, the American Bar Association's Standing Committee on Law and National Security, and the board of the 3M Foundation. Ivan is looking forward to sharing with you some of the lessons he has learned during a long and varied career in the practice of law. Please welcome Ivan Fong.
Well, thank you, Dean Vischer, for that kind introduction. President Sullivan, Provost Plum, members of the Law School Board of Governors, Dean Vischer, faculty and staff, family and friends of today's graduates, and most importantly, to the class of 2017. Congratulations! This is a special day and a significant milestone in your lives. What a relief! You're ending one journey and about to embark on another. And so it's an opportune moment to pause and reflect on what it all means. But before I do that, I confess I have to take back something I just said. I hate to deflate your bubble, but as important as all of you are here today, there are actually others in the room who are just as important and maybe even more important than you are today. They're the ones who've sacrificed with you, who've supported you every way, every step of the way, and without whom I suspect some of you may not even be here today. For most of you, today will be a blur, but for them in the audience, they will never forget the pride and the joy they are feeling at this moment. So I'd ask all the graduating students to please stand if you're able. Go on, stand. Turn around, face the back and the sides of the room, and give a big thank you to your family, friends, and other loved ones. Those who are here today and those who could not be here today. And now turn back to the front and to the side and thank the faculty and staff who've also been with you and supported you all along the way. Thank you. You may be seated. Now, when Dean Vischer invited me to speak with you today, I immediately wondered, why me? What can I say that might be helpful and relevant to you as you embark on the next phase of your lives? And my answer is this: I have had the great fortune to have had a variety of different experiences in my legal career. And though it wasn't my plan to do so, I've had the special privilege of serving as a law clerk to 2 federal judges. I've been a partner in private practice with a large law firm. I've engaged in government service, and now I'm the general counsel of one of the top technology companies in the world. Those experiences have given me a unique vantage point to experience the legal profession up close. And my overarching observation is this: constant and rapid change is the order of the day. When I first interviewed with law firms a few years after I graduated from law school, I was told that lawyers shouldn't type their own documents. We have an entire word processing department to do that. Can you imagine a whole department of people dedicated to word processing? I can't remember the last time I used that phrase, and I bet some of you are scratching your heads trying to decide, is a word processor an app or a person? Change is all around us. Imagine, by 2020, 80% of the world's consumer internet traffic will be in video. And sometime in the near future, 24 self-driving cars will generate enough data in 1 year that exceeds the entire written work of humanity from the beginning of time. And the legal profession is not immune from this accelerating pace of change. Artificial intelligence, automation, new business models are disrupting the traditional ways of law firm practice and the practice of law generally. We continue to see critical gaps in our ability as a society to provide basic civil legal assistance to low and even middle-income members of our communities. And as all of you know all too well, rising law school tuition and debt loads, declining law school enrollments, and uncertain employment opportunities for recent law school graduates challenge our law schools, not just to do things better, but to do them differently. These and 1,000 other changes create stress and anxiety about the future, not just in our daily lives, but for the legal profession as a whole. And to make a broader point, we face immense challenges as a country and as a society. We need our best minds to help solve our most difficult and complex problems. And we need those leaders, not in the next decade, not in the next year, not in the next month. We need them now. So in these times of accelerating change and paralyzing ambiguity, what can you do to be one of those leaders who not just survives, but thrives? Let me offer 3 suggestions. First, there are many skills and capabilities that'll help you stay ahead of the curve. But the one I believe is the most underrated is that of adaptability. Case in point, when I graduated from law school, I never dreamed I'd become general counsel of the 3rd largest cabinet department, the Department of Homeland Security. For that would have taken quite the crystal ball, because the Department of Homeland Security didn't exist when I graduated from law school. So it's important to remember, over the course of your careers, there will be many jobs and positions in the future that simply don't exist today. And if you're at all anxious or apprehensive about that future, remember the advice of St. Thomas Aquinas, for whom this university and school is named. If the highest aim of a captain were to preserve his ship, he would keep it in port forever. My point is that the world will change in so many and so many unpredictable ways over the course of your career. You must keep your eyes open to the changes occurring around you, and then be receptive to the idea of doing something new, different, or unplanned. As our CEO at 3M, Inga Tulin, is fond of saying, make change your best friend. That's right, make change your best friend. The good news is that your legal education here at St. Thomas has prepared you well for that future. You've learned lifelong habits of working hard, despite perhaps spending too much time at the Bulldog, or maybe because you spent too much time at the Bulldog. You've learned to think analytically and to communicate clearly and persuasively. And it's noteworthy, as Dean Vischer and Maria have indicated, you're not like the other law school graduates out there. Many of you have engaged in the outstanding externships and clinical programs that St. Thomas is deservedly known for. And most of you formed enduring relationships with your teachers and fellow classmates. Your new professional community will embrace you if you give it a chance. For in the years to come, it will be an indispensable source of wisdom, mentorship, and support. Second, I'm not advocating that you change for change's sake. Being adaptable doesn't mean being impulsive or jumping on that next new business idea. But there is room, in my worldview, for taking a few leaps of faith in life, particularly if the alternative is to sit passively in a job you're not particularly fond of. So, how do you know what to do next and where you're going? This is where it gets hard. For I'm not a fan of the conventional answer, which is to pursue your passion. Commencement speakers often give that advice. And it's not that it's bad counsel. It's just that I think it gets it backwards. It's backwards because following your passion is a self-centered view of the world. Instead, I believe in pursuing your vocation. It's interesting that the words advocate and vocation both come from the Latin word vocare, which means to call. Thus, an advocate is someone who speaks on another's behalf, and a vocation, unlike a career, is a calling. New York Times columnist and author David Brooks puts it this way: a career is something you choose. A vocation is something that summons you. People with vocations don't ask, "What do I want from life?" They ask, "What is life demanding me to do?" The answer to that question is not found by looking inside you for your passion. Rather, it's found by looking outward, by being sensitive to a void and a need, and then answering the chance to be of use. For me, the law has been a calling and a vocation, and I hope it is for you as well. Even more personally, I've been guided and moved in my life and work by my favorite scripture passage. We are called in Micah chapter 6, verse 8, to do justice, to love kindness, and to walk humbly with your God. So in the next few weeks, months, and even years, spend some time, whether in solitude or with others, looking outward and listening for that call. Discernment requires an awareness of what the world urgently needs you to do today. It may or may not come to you in a bolt of lightning. It will certainly require introspection and reflection, but do it. And then take that leap of faith to act upon that need. Finally, as you progress in your vocation, stand for something. Just as the starting point for a healthy and physically fit body is a strong core, that is, a strong set of abdominal muscles, back, and torso, our core beliefs give us strength, stability, and endurance for life, while keeping us balanced and standing up straight. We know who we are, we know what we believe, and we're honest with ourselves and with others. Like discerning your calling, cultivating your core is hard work, but I urge you to spend some time strengthening your core. It's worth it, because as the old saying goes, if you don't stand for something, you'll fall for anything. It starts with personal integrity, of course, but as members of the legal profession, we have a special responsibility to serve both private and public goals. For that is the very essence of a profession, the obligation to go beyond our narrow, purely economic self-interest. That broader responsibility can be fulfilled in many ways: meeting the highest standards of professional conduct as officers of the court in all we do, providing pro bono legal services for those who can't afford a lawyer, as many of you have already done, or in my case, engaging in government service. My time as general counsel at the Department of Homeland Security was both fascinating and challenging. I learned the importance of risk management and crisis preparation. In particular, I learned that having both a crisis plan and then exercising it are important elements of preparedness. I learned the challenges of playing defense. That is, we have to be 100% perfect in protecting the homeland, but our adversaries need only penetrate our defenses once to succeed. And I now have a much stronger appreciation for the value of prevention. I would sometimes tell the dedicated and hardworking lawyers at DHS that some of our biggest victories are things others will never know about. To serve in the kind of roles that we had and in the kind of roles that you may have in the future, we have to be comfortable with the intrinsic value of what we do, rather than any external recognition or even validation. So in whatever you do, be principled. Don't compromise your core values. Work to ensure equal access to justice. Defend those unable to defend themselves. Protect our democracy and the institutions that make it strong. Bequeath to our children and our children's children cleaner air and cleaner water. Stand up for the rule of law, for an independent judiciary, for religious freedoms, and for free speech and a robust and independent press. Make real the promise in our Pledge of Allegiance of liberty and justice for all, and speak truth to power. I'm not being naive or idealistic. Not all of you will argue and win the next landmark civil rights case, though I hope some of you do. But all of you can ensure that your reputation for integrity and ethical behavior becomes a part of the fabric and culture of the organizations of which you're a part. You will be tested, as I have, on your willingness and ability to do the right thing. But your credibility and your personal and professional reputation for integrity and independence are simply too important to sacrifice for narrow, short-term interests. In fact, one of the key values that attracted me most to 3M, in addition to its well-deserved reputation for innovation and collaboration, is its unwavering commitment to doing business the right way everywhere we do business. Too many companies have squandered the trust once placed in them by their employees, by their customers, and by the public. We now live in a world in which companies like 3M must prove every day that they're worthy of the societal trust that gives us a license to operate. It's a tall order, but critical for ensuring sustainable growth for the future. So there you have it, 3 pieces of advice for a world in which the pace of change is unrelenting. Number 1, be adaptable. Number 2, pursue your calling. And number 3, cultivate your core. I'd like to close with a personal story. A month and a half ago, our 3M Law Department lost one of its shining stars. Anne Marie Hanrahan was a 3M Vice President and our Chief Litigation Counsel. Before joining 3M, she was a partner in the Faegre firm here in town. She was only in her mid-50s when she passed away after a long struggle with breast cancer that spread to her brain. She was a brilliant advocate and the embodiment of kindness. Anne Marie's legal career was one that anyone in this room would be proud of. But what struck me most was that the centerpiece of both her memorial service and the Star Tribune article that ran after her death had nothing to do with her professional achievements, of which there were many. It was instead her pro bono work with the Children's Law Center, and in particular, her representation of a 15-year-old foster child that formed the core of her remembrances. Nina Boswell was a teenager when she got into a fight and was about to be expelled from Coon Rapids High School. Nina expected her pro bono lawyer to disappear after she took her case twice to the Minnesota Court of Appeals and won. Instead, Anne Marie kept in touch with her. Nina writes, "She stayed by my side and in my life throughout everything. I was able to ask her for anything at any hour. Even at the times when I didn't believe in myself, she always believed in me. Many of the things I've accomplished thus far in my life wouldn't have been achievable without her. She was the greatest role model and mentor. She spoke a bright future into me and told me it was okay to fall sometimes, but to make sure I got up stronger and pushed even harder. Today, Nina is 25 and serves on the board of the Children's Law Center. We should all wish to be remembered as someone who changed the course of someone else's life in such a meaningful way. So congratulations again. Savor this moment, for while today is a day of rest and celebration, it is but a way station. You will need your rest and energy for the next leg of your journey and for the hard work that lies ahead. But don't forget, when you leave St. Thomas, why you came. And as you study for the bar, remember to keep using those 3M Post-it notes. Know that the world deeply needs you and the amazing variety of gifts that you bring to it. And may you never forget that you are loved, especially by those surrounding you in this room and by countless others. Good luck, Godspeed always, thank you.
Thank you, Ivan. It is customary at this point of our celebration to introduce the faculty member who this class has selected as Professor of the Year. And to do the honors, I call to the podium the 3L representatives, Megan Mejia and Carrie Theise.
This year, Professor Bowser, or Bow Bow as he has been nicknamed, is our class's Faculty Member of the Year. We are honored to be hooded by him today. Professor Bowser is one of the few professors who each of us had our 1L year, and many of us continue to have through our 2L and 3L years. We appreciate the intellect and dry humor that he brought to our first year and feel honored to be his last class of law students.
The law school will miss his insight, and we are very lucky to have learned from him. Among many nice things said about him, here are a couple quotes from our graduating class. I enjoyed class with Professor Bowser because of his respect for students, his willingness to engage students of differing viewpoints, and his dry sense of humor. And my personal favorite, Bow Bow is our hero. At this time, we invite Professor Bowser to the stage to begin the hooding process.
Thank you, Megan and Carrie, and congratulations, Professor Bowser. Now it's the moment you've all been waiting for. Let us proceed with the hooding ceremony. Associate Dean Joel Nichols will be calling out and pronouncing with exquisite precision the graduates' names. Professor Bowser will be hooding each graduate. I will congratulate you and present you with a small token of our grateful appreciation. And our university president will give you a hearty handshake of congratulations and a memorable photo opportunity. On that note, we have retained a professional photographer who will be taking an excellent photograph of your favorite graduate with Dr. Sullivan. So friends and family, I would ask you to please refrain from rushing the stage to take a photo during the hooding ceremony. Thank you.
Our first graduates are receiving degrees in organizational ethics and compliance. Danielle Cabezas. Rachel Gagliardi. Ryan Habiger. Shannon Duffy Hendricks. Hannah Lindeborg. Amy Lohr. Graduates receiving the LLM in U.S. Law. Marcela Argueta. Lena Camara. Maria Fernanda Valenzuela. Emerson Escobedo Delgado. Luis Riveros. Isabel Burgos. Tingwen Kong. Eduardo Sanchez. Chonchon Mai. Peiling Miao. Andrea Mejia. Virginia Rojas. Ignacio Sanz. Diana Soto. Maydot Teka. Luis Pedro Martinez. Chachen Wen. Ifan Wan. Longchi Wan. Graduates receiving the Juris Doctor degree. Megan Nicole Mejia. Carrie Marie Dicey. Kelsey Allen. Michael T. Allen. Chelsea Patricia Barr, being hooded by her father, Paul Barr. Philip Becker. Richard H. Bennett. Joyce Bennett Alvarado. Daniel Berlinger. Mariah Belinsky. Andrew Bittner. Luke Baldwin. Aaron Edward Brown. Sarah Whitney Bryant. Sarah Burt. Aaron Byam. Karen Calcaterra. Janelle Chambers. Lauren Clements. Brett Lee Copeland. Clara Johnson Seipel. Abdul Dahir. Joshua Damberg. Jacqueline Destash. Brittany Dingman. James Donalek. Bridget Duffus. Jonathan Dunn. Tracy Emerson. Christina Espy Sunt. Brenel Estrada Britton. Taylor Fast. Got it. Shalini Fernandez. Eric Flokini. Clarice Fredrickson. Patricia Alonso. Michael Gannon. Timothy Garvey. Brooke Geisler. Catherine Janieser. Laura Gottschalk. Jason Hoffman. Stephen Holleran. Joseph Lee Hamblin. Hannah Hanlon. Alexandria Hare. Colin Hunter Hargreaves. Matthew Harmoning. Muna Abdullahi Hassan. Taylor Hine. Timothy Rubetz. Noah M. Heisman. Bianca Jackson. Kari Jacobson. Matthew Johnson. Lucas J. Kane. Catherine Kelly, being hooded by her father, the Honorable Christopher E. Kelly. Amanda Clausen. Claire Klein. Kyle Cobley. Catherine Kohler. Marcy Marie Kremeyer. Frank Langen. Chelsea Langton. Aaron Larsgaard. V. Lay. Sheila Leary. Samuel Levon. Pharaoh Lewis. Catherine Loftus. Carrie Leister. Francis Madden. Jeffrey Maleska. Stephen Kendall Joseph McCarney. Jeffrey Maylert. Mark Mickow. Scott Millay. Allison Miller. Arthur Mogilevsky. Gabe Munson. Tim Moosebrugger. James Monroe. Ethan Mustonen. Jonathan Nelson. Charles Nguyen. Ryan Normandon. Joshua Knuckles. Megan Oliver. Serena O'Neill. Patrick Henry O'Neill III. John Pauley. Jessica Perkins. Alan J. Peterson. Lauren Parati. Maria Pittner. Liz Pitts Cartwright. Joseph P. Pope, Jr. Nicole Raybell. Eleanor Alexi Richardson. Michelle Ryu. Courtney Rowell. Holly Ryan. Ashley Ryan. Megan Sohabjem. Joseph Sawtell. David Shinnis. Nathan Schlitter. Mike Schulte. Theodore Schillingstad. Molly Nash Sigler. Ashley Steinberg. Derek Stewart. Clinton Carl Strowing. Zachary Gordon Sutherland. Elizabeth Rose Vadakara. Lauren Valenti. Alexis Vondel. Caitlin Wachter. Ling Wan. Ariana Whitney. Alyssa Wojak. And Cameron Woods, the class of 2017.
I now invite to the podium the president of the University of St. Thomas, Dr. Julie Sullivan, who will formally confer the Juris Doctor, LLM, and Masters in the Study of Law degrees on our graduate. Dr. Sullivan?
Good afternoon. It really is a joy to be here with you on this wonderful celebration. I'm so pleased to participate in the graduation ceremony honoring the class of 2017. The School of Law has been a great source of pride for me, for our trustees, and for the law school's Board of Governors. We are proud of the outstanding work of the law faculty and staff that have built this excellent program. And we are most proud of you, our graduates. The 14th class of JD graduates and our 3rd class of graduates in our compliance and LLM and U.S. law degree programs. I look forward to hearing about all you will be achieving as outstanding legal professionals and equally important as leaders of our and your communities. Congratulations. I wish you the very, very best. But now, what we've all been waiting for, I have the pleasure of conferring your degrees. So will you please stand? Graduating class of 2017. Upon the recommendation of the faculty and by virtue of the authority vested in me by the Board of Trustees, I, Julie Sullivan, President of the University of St. Thomas, confer upon you the degrees from the University of St. Thomas to which you are entitled with all the rights, privileges, and responsibilities pertaining thereto. Congratulations. Please be seated.
Now, some of you in the audience might be thinking to yourself, wait, isn't that when graduates usually toss their caps in the air? And let me just say, after 3 years of law school, we see tossing one's cap in the air as nothing more than many paths of potential liability. So that's not something you're going to see law graduates do. A few quick housekeeping announcements as we close. First, I invite all of you back to the Schultz Grand Atrium of our law building, which is just a few blocks away, straight down 11th Street. And if your favorite graduate cannot direct you how to get there, then I have some serious questions for them about their class attendance over the past years. Second, for those of you who might have some difficulty navigating that walk, we have a shuttle bus that will pick you up right outside the hotel. Third, I would encourage you to post your photos and favorite law school memories on Instagram and Twitter using the tag UST Law MN. And fourth, today is all about you, but don't be tempted into thinking that tomorrow is all about you. A friendly reminder, if you have been self-absorbed, Mother's Day is quickly approaching, so act accordingly. Now to conclude, this is the last time I'm going to have you all together as a captive audience. So I'm going to exercise the Dean's prerogative and give you two final admonitions. First, keep the sense of community you've had as a class going after you walk out of here. It's not going to be as easy as it has been when you could just show up and everybody's here. It's going to require you being proactive. Make the call, send the text, get together. And don't just stay in touch with each other, stay in touch with us. We'd love to hear from alumni about what you're doing, where you're headed, how we can help. Many of you heard me talk way back at an admitted applicant event before you even enrolled, and one thing I emphasized is that you will be just as much a part of our law school community when you're out there in the profession as you were when you were sitting in class. Community was an important part of your experience here. It's even more important in the years to come, so cherish what you have here and keep it going. Second, take a moment and appreciate this milestone. Lawyers by nature tend to be professional worriers. We're much better at dreading future worst-case scenarios than we are at appreciating the present. Today's milestone is big. You are law school graduates. Yes, you still have to pass the bar, and you should put everything you have into making sure you do all the work your prep course asks you to do. But not today. And yes, many of you still have that job search hanging over you, and you need to take that seriously. But not today. Here's a little secret that your parents can confirm on the chance that you haven't learned it yet. There will always be something big coming next to worry about. And when what's coming next occupies all of our waking moments, we can unintentionally diminish our capacity for joy. This is a moment for joy, so let yourself be present in the moment. I will ask our guests today to remain seated until the platform party, our faculty, and the members of the class of 2017 have left the hall. Thank you very much. And now platform party, faculty, and graduates, please rise.